Hi there, it's Kevin Ward with Yes Masters Real Estate Success Training, and I just got a great question from one of my coaching members of what do you do when you have a for sale by owner and you actually have a buyer that the house, the for sale by owner, is a match for? How do you approach the for sale by owner and how do you do it to make sure you actually get paid a commission, make sure the for sale by owner is willing to cooperate, and so forth? So the email is, I've got a client looking for a property. I found a for sale by owner that matches their criteria. What script do I use when contacting the for sale by owner and showing it to my buyer? And then how do I get the commission? So basically you call them up and this is called a straightforward conversation. It's no BS because you actually have a buyer. So I would say, hi, Mr. For sale by owner. My name is Kevin Ward. I'm a local real estate agent and I have a potential buyer for your property. I wanted to see if I could come by and preview it and talk to you about helping you get it sold to my buyer. Are you open to paying a commission if I bring you a buyer? That's the question. Real simple, straightforward. Yes, great, and so forth. When would be a good time for me to come over and take a look at it? Now, I'm going to use the seller sheet, okay, which is my pre-qualifying sheet, to get a little more information about where they're moving, why are they moving there, how soon do they want to be there, and then I'm going to find out. I noticed you had it for sale by owner at $1 million. Is that a price? Are you firm with that price, or is there any wiggle room? I want to, just get a feel. How firm are you on that price? So I want to get a feel for their motivation. I want to get a feel for how they feel about the price and so forth. I do not talk about commission over the phone. I do not talk about anything other than saying, I'm going to come out and meet with you. And they go like, well, I don't want this to be a bait and switch. Trust me, this is not a bait and switch. I've got a buyer. When we get together, here's what we'll do. I'm going to take a look at the property, make sure it's a fit. We're going to talk about the price, and then we'll sign what's called a one-time listing agreement or a one-time showing agreement. Now, in your board of realtors or in your state, there is a form that is a one-time showing or a one-time listing agreement, and it basically says that the seller is willing to sell to this particular buyer with this particular agent for these particular terms, or and if the buyer brings if the agent brings an offer that is acceptable to the seller, then the seller is willing to pay the broker a set agreed commission, which is in the agreement. So then you go meet with them, preview the house, and I'm going to use the seller sheet basically to pre-qualify it. Say, great, well, I can't guarantee that it's a match for my seller, but I know that the criteria is a match. So here's what we need to do. Is we need to just basically sign a one-time listing agreement that it obligates you to do nothing except that if I bring you an offer and it's accepted and we can arrive at terms that are acceptable to you and to the buyer, that when it closes that I'm going to get, that basically you're going to get the house sold and I'm going to get paid a commission. Now, when you go through the numbers on it, you choose what commission you do. I always charged pretty much a full service commission. So if I was, for example, if my normal commission was 6%, I may do it for 5%. And why? Because I'm going to be dealing with all the liability and all the work. I'm going to be doing all the work for both sides. I'm taking care of everything and so forth. Now, what you will sometimes run into is that for sale by owner go, well, I had another agent that said if they brought a buyer, they would do it for only 3%. Okay, great. Well, have they already brought you a buyer? Did they bring you an offer? Well, no. Well, great. So if I don't bring the buyer and don't actually bring an acceptable contract, I do it for free. But if I bring you an offer that's at a price you're willing to accept, and I take care of everything, which is my job, I'll take care of all the paperwork and all the ins and outs and so forth to make all this happen. I just want to make sure you're willing to pay me the 5% that I charge. If it's got to be numbers that work for both of us and so forth. But the deal is you don't have to give away all your value, and you're doubling your liability because you're representing the buyer and you're working with a seller who, depending on your state and laws of agency in your state and how the agreement works out, you may or may not be representing the seller at all. You may be an intermediary or dual agent, depending on the state, depending on the laws and so forth. That you need to work out with your broker, and you need to be clear about. But you're handling all the work and your broker is handling all the liability. So it doesn't make sense to do it for half. Now, you can if you want to. It's business, but I wouldn't. I would do it for more. And yet you can do a little discount because you're not doing a full listing and you're not having to go through all the hassle of putting it on the market, marketing, and all that kind of stuff. So the key is motivated seller, motivated buyer. You get the signed agreement, then you go, great, and now you set up an appointment, bring your buyer in, they like it, they don't like it, and so forth. Now, the challenge is, after you've done that, How, if the buyer doesn't like it and it's not for them, which is probably about a 70-80% chance. Now, how do you convert that into a listing? Well, it's a little bit different conversation, but just so great. So how much time do you think you'll take before and this is after it doesn't work out? So you know what? I appreciate your willingness to show it to the buyer. Sorry, it didn't work out. Just curious, how much time do you think you'd take before you would consider hiring me to actually let me get it sold for you? And that's just a totally different conversation. Either way, you're going to win. You're going to position yourself as a great agent and as their agent if all goes well. The key is there's no BS, totally straightforward conversation, and you're serving everybody's best interest.